Three, two, one. Today's episode is brought to you by Stamps.com. If you're looking for ways to skip the trip to the post office and dodge all that hectic holiday shopping traffic, why not save time and money with Stamps.com? Stamps.com lets you compare rates, print labels, and access exclusive discounts on UPS and USPS services all year long. It just makes sense, especially if your business sends more mail-in packages during the holidays. Whether you're selling online or running an office or side hustle, Stamps.com can save you so much time, money, and stress during the holidays. Access all the post office and UPS shipping services you need without taking that trip. And you can get the discounts you can't find anywhere else, like up to 40% off USPS rates and 76% off UPS. Going to the post office instead of using Stamps.com is kind of like taking the stairs instead of the elevator. Just going up a couple floors? Sure, take the stairs. Walking up 30 flights a day, you could use a break. If you spend more than a few minutes a week dealing with mail and shipping, Stamps.com is a lifesaver. You'll save so much time and money, you'll wonder why you didn't start sooner. Save time and money this holiday season with Stamps.com. Sign up with promo code POD for a special offer that includes a 4-week trial, free postage, and a digital scale. No long-term commitments or contracts. Just go to Stamps.com, click the microphone at the top of the page, and enter code POD. P-O-D.
We're back, lads.
Hello.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. How are your guys' New Year's?
Good.
Low
Low key.
Too bad. Yeah, pretty low key.
We kept it safe.
Yeah.
As you should. You should. New Year's has never been a massive thing for me. It's just kind of like, great. Fireworks. Dogs are going to be upset. Stay up late, even though I do that every night. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It was a different way. I don't know about you guys, but for me, I was just with a friend at his house, and it was very nonchalant. Like it was weird because I guess now with all these restrictions, at least in Ontario and very much Quebec too, it's very like, there's nothing to celebrate. Like there's nothing to look forward to in a sense.
I got that. Yeah. I have a funny story.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, it's a new story. It's not really my own story. It's CP24's story.
Oh, okay.
But the way they reported, like if I was the reporter on this, I don't know if I would keep a straight face. The way they talked about it,
okay,
where they're like thousands of people have congregated along Yonge and Dundas Square and Nathan Phillips Square. We don't have anything planned. There's no music. There's no performances. There's just people here standing around trying to celebrate the New Year.
There was someone live streaming it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Live streaming a crowd of people.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Did anyone just bring firecrackers or something? I don't know. You could probably do that.
There were a lot of videos on SixBuzz of people just, I don't know, like, is this even allowed? Adam, you're probably the expert on this. Okay. Are you allowed to shoot fireworks from your condo balcony?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Well, don't forget the fireworks during the playoffs for Montreal were from in front of the Bell Center.
Okay.
Which just happened to be right outside of my condo building. So I don't think anyone was shooting them off. I feel like I don't remember ever reading the thing of like, you are not allowed to do this and this, but I feel like there's a thing of, no, you can't do that. It's kind of like how you can't smoke indoors nowadays. Yeah. I don't feel like you are allowed to set off fireworks from the balcony 40 floors up.
Yeah, and you can't throw chairs off balconies either. Noted news source, SixBuzz. I love it when my friends send me like news stuff from SixBuzz. It just kind of cracks me up a little bit.
It's weird because I remember reading something where it was during the playoffs where they were actually reporting on a lot of the games, like on the Leafs and then for the Habs.
Yeah.
And I remember people were criticizing them saying, oh, no one actually takes them seriously. Why are they having journalists writing about this? Right. I think they actually had an interview with, who did they have an interview with? They had an interview with like Mitch Marner or William Nylander, one of the young guys. And then people are like, hey, do you look at the followers, like the number of followers they have compared to like other news sources that have gone onto Instagram or Twitter? It's like, it's double.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. The comment sections are quite the best. Sometimes you just have to scroll through them. We live in a society.
You see that in YouTube now because there's no dislike button.
Yeah.
Cowards, absolute cowards. Anyway, New Year's has happened. Do you guys? Let's look at the three teams we care about the most on the show: the Ducks, the Leafs, and the Habs. I'll ask you guys for your respective teams. First off, Daniel, what do you think the New Year resolution for the Anaheim Ducks is?
Is don't lose your identity from the first part of the season. Just keep on going.
And what's that besides Trevor Zegras being gross?
Just, being consistent and just letting the kids play, right? Like, one thing I wanted to talk about is Trevor Zegras, who you brought up. It's funny. It's like, I love that he's becoming such a great player, but he also has a personality. Like, he's a social media type of guy, right? Because he's of this age group. And I'm just waiting until people say like, oh, this is not good for the game. I already know that like they're talking about like the Michigan pass, but now they're going to say, oh, look, he's even asking, hey, please vote for me for the All-Star game. And that's new for the NHL, but that's not new for the NBA. Like, I remember a few years back, Chris Bosh, when he was on the Raptors. You guys have to see this, by the way.
A few years ago. It's been like, how long has it been?
Okay, it's been like 10, 15 years ago.
It's been like a decade.
Yeah, but he pretended to be like a car salesman in a commercial, and he's like, please vote for me to the All-Star game. Like, you never see that. So I'm happy that that's happening right now.
I think one of the most notable moments of going was Ovechkin at the draft because he was trying to get the car for that family. It was like, don't take me. And it's like, and every year since has been, I'll take the 1 game suspension because I don't want to go to the All-Star game. And Crosby has been to like 1 in 8 years or something. Not a great look. Alex, New Year's resolution, the Leafs, and you can't say win a playoff round. Too easy.
Man. Okay, I'm going to skirt around the win a playoff round. I want the New Year's resolution is the big guys, Matthews, Marner, and I guess Nylander too, even though he's done it, steps up when it counts.
That was such a politician way of answering the question you wanted to answer. Okay. For Montreal, have a really good deadline and hire the right GM, which we'll talk about later. Okay. Also, along with New Year's this time of year, the Winter Classic. That was fun. Minnesota, St. Louis in Target Field. Not Twin. What am I thinking of? Target Field. It was fun. We're going to talk about a bit of stuff with the Blues in Minnesota here. We're actually going to wait a second to talk about this because I want early in the show to mention something, a really cool story. And we're going to talk more about the Canucks themselves and how they've been playing a little later. But I want to talk about this story here. I'm going to read off the Instagram story sort of slideshow that the NHL Instagram page did. How a Kraken fan helped save a Canucks equipment manager's life. So Nadia, I'm going to say it wrong probably, Popovici was sitting behind the Canucks bench on October 23rd when she noticed a cancerous mole on Brian Hamilton's neck. She typed a message, I believe he is the one of the assistant equipment managers for the Canucks. She typed a message on her phone and knocked on the plexiglass to get Hamilton's attention. Quote, the mole on the back of your neck is cancerous. Hamilton's doctor confirmed that the mole was type 2 malignant myeloma and removed the cancerous area. Hamilton began searching for Popovici on Saturday, and with the help of fans on Facebook, she was located. And on Saturday night, they met before the game, him saying, quote, she needs to know she's the story. She's the person who did this. He even had a press conference about it. It was a great story. And then during the game last night, which again, once more, was Vancouver and Seattle, Seattle and Vancouver announced they were going to give her $10,000 to help with her studies. What a sick story and what like a heartwarming way to start 2022.
Yeah. And also great start to 2022. But I think for hockey, the last, 24 months, we'll throw it in there, have not been great for the sport for multiple reasons. I mean, we've talked about plenty of them on the show. So for 2022 to start this way, I think hopefully we can continue that momentum going forward.
I agree. Like, for as many stories that we talk about, the big ones, the ones that is going on, the fallout of certain decisions on a lot of these stories, you really do get bogged down with the negativity. You get bogged down with, oh my gosh, I have to talk about this, and all of this is happening. And is there any glimmer of hope right now in the NHL with certain
Sure.
things? And we see these types of stories when it kind of reaffirms the community aspect of it, of things that go beyond the game, but in a positive way.
You guys see her hat, by the way, at the game?
Yeah.
Like a cracking woolly hat. It was really, really cool. Put more effort into attire than Jordan Binnington did for the Winter Classic.
Oh.
Anyway, I just thought that was super, super cool. It's just, as a fan, imagine that like you take the time, like she notices it. And apparently like the way she had written it out, like I think she'd like changed the color of the note. You would think maybe he thought she was just like a fan trying to heckle her. Cause I want to say that may have been the initial game was probably like Seattle's home opener because it was against the Canucks and just persistent on it. That's you kind of wish her luck in her future because even as young as she is, she's like saved a life here and, hopefully she continues to do that. And the Canucks are funding her. It's just sick. I really, really like that. All right, then. Beside that, back to the Winter Classic. Minnesota didn't show up for the first 2 periods of that game. And meanwhile, St. Louis's wicked second line. Okay, I want to bring this up to you guys really quickly. Okay, so St. Louis, I think, low-key have probably one of the best top nines in hockey. And when you put a link into a Microsoft Word document and for some reason it doesn't work the moment you want it to, like you print off an assignment the day before school, as I stall to get up St. Louis's lineup. Right now, Braden Shen is hurt, right? So right now, the way that their lines kind of shape out is the first line is Ryan O'Reilly, David Perron, Brandon Saad. By the way, David Perron, probably one of the most underrated players in the league the last couple of years. The second line that dominated last night, the one I want to talk about here, Vladimir Tarasenko, Jordan Kyrou, and Robert Thomas. Tarasenko, I think, is up to 14 goals and he's point per game right now. St. Louis were very patient when it came to handing the keys over to Kyrou and Thomas. And all of a sudden now with a healthy Vladimir Tarasenko, my goodness, is it working dividends for them?
100%. And I mean, like we saw this kind of emergence, at least from Robert Thomas, in their playoff run, right? We saw him against Boston. And I saw everyone talking about Robert Thomas. I mean, specifically Jeff Merrick, who would stop talking about Robert Thomas, but Jordan Kyrou, I think, is the standout there. Cause for me, I think a lot of people kind of doubted Jordan Kyrou for a little bit there. It took him a little bit longer, I guess, than people expected. But what it shows for me is that you can still make an impact later on. And he's still young. Like, it's not like he's an older guy, but I think the expectation now is that, these guys who come in, it's a young man's league, as we say. It's a young man's league, and we expect the younger guys to make an impact immediately. But that's not necessarily the case all the time. And I think that's evident in Jordan Kyrou.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's someone I've mentioned before where, you guys, we just got to wait for him. Just got to wait for Jordan Kyrou. I remember when he went in the second round to St. Louis and everyone said, oh, that's a steal. He should have been in the first round. Just you wait to see what he could become. And with Robert Thomas, he's someone that almost immediately, I think that, he made the team, not his first year, but he became a consistent member of them. And I think he's someone that I've mentioned before, when they traded Robbie Fabry, that was the minutes they gave them. And it worked really well because I think he just slots in a lot better for them. And we talk about the Blues. We talk about how they've been a bit of in a rut. So it's nice to see that along with that core you saw making it to the Cup, you also have these young guys that are steadily emerging and taking on the bigger roles.
So let's just say that Braden Shen's back in the lineup, and I don't know what it's normally the configuration of their lineup has been all year, but if you put one of those two down on the third line, let's just say it's Shen for the sake of it, and you're running Bozak, maybe you're trying to get another centerman at the deadline, because Bozak at this point better have him like as a depth guy over Barbashev, or maybe him, decent players, got some skill there. But then your third line is a combination of like Shen, either Bozak or Barbashev, and Pavel Buchnevich, who has been so good. I've later on in this year, I want to like look a lot about that trade because it's unfair because Sammy Blais hurt thanks to PK Subban, unfortunately. But Pavel Buchnevich has been a really, really good for St. Louis. Up front, they're good. I still have questions about their back end because no one is Alex Pietrangelo. But you know what? It's good that you also have this sort of young core coming up even more because you look at next year. Tarasenko and O'Reilly are both up. Now, I mean, knowing the way St. Louis roll, I wouldn't be surprised if one of them are traded. Like Tarasenko, you don't see getting moved if they're going to go on a run. But, you know, if they realize they aren't at a suitable place next year, changes could be coming in St. Louis, but you see that next core is sort of, they're definitely there. And Binnington's there right now. See, here's why I'm really upset that St. Louis actually won that game, because Jordan Binnington did not have a toque on his mask like Cam Talbot did. Like, where's the like the visual of the Winter Classic's always really cool, but having the toque on the goalie's mask is just so cool, and Binnington just ruined it.
He did it to mess with us. He did it to mess with us.
He has no respect for Jose Taylor.
He said, I really want to piss off Adam. And
he did.
That's what he did.
He's a goofball. I don't like him. It's just Jordan Binnington, you know what I mean? By the way, shout out to Minnesota coach Dean Evison, who him and his entire staff got extended.
Good to hear. It's just this game, man. Oh my gosh. Like, I don't know. Just, I think you get caught up a lot with the atmosphere of this game, right? Of the hype, of being the home team, of everything going on. And I don't know what happened to the Wild. Like I know it's one game, but it's like they regressed to how they were before, not like from the past two seasons for the first like period and a half. Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
What was Zuccarello? It's like we didn't show up and they felt bad for the fans that were all like not like sitting there in the cold, obviously, right? What was great is Kaprizov was just so used to it because isn't Kaprizov from Siberia?
Oh, let me check.
Funny enough, or he's from wherever he was, like lived in Russia. He's quite used to it. But you know I like the aesthetic of that game looked really cool, and not to mention Minnesota's jerseys, like the pants and gloves too. I thought were really nice. And St. Louis rarely mess up a jersey.
That's true.
So, but I think they nailed this Winter Classic. Game itself, you know, obviously fell out of control, and there was a bit of excitement towards the end of the third, but then Minnesota just couldn't really get it going with the extra man. But it was still a fun game.
It was.
Most people forgot it was happening, but
yeah, I remember my family. They're like, oh my god, the game's later today. They're like, yeah, it's like the Battle of Ontario. I'm like, what? I'm like, I know, yeah. I'm like, they're like, no, we're gonna watch that. We're not gonna watch Minnesota. So
if Montreal were playing at 7, I wasn't going to watch because I wanted to see the Winter Classic really, really badly.
Two things. So you are right. I am not going to try to name the town, but Kirill Kaprizov is from Siberia.
Yep.
And second, hoping the Winter Classic merchandise goes on sale because I really like the scarf and the hat.
Fair enough, yeah. They had just had a lot of really good stuff. It was cool to see Nicholas Backstrom, not that Backstrom, the other Backstrom and Mikko Koivu there too. I thought that was a really nice touch. I want to read this tweet from Alan Walsh saying, only the NHL would intentionally schedule other regular season games on the same day and at the same time as the Winter Classic. Your signature event on New Year's Day and counter program against yourselves. # marketing geniuses. Because it was 7:00 on a Saturday.
Yeah.
You put it up against the Battle of Ontario. What are you thinking?
Yeah, no, it wasn't very smart thinking. Again, I'm coming up with such creative ideas for the league. I have another idea. So, okay. I'm copying the NBA here a bit, but I think it can work because the NHL seems to think that they can spread out a bunch of outdoor games throughout between January and March, or that's what they've done in the past. Crazy idea. You do all your outdoor games January 1st. You have no other games. Every single outdoor game happens January 1st. The same way the NBA does Christmas Day. They have those games. They don't have they don't have Christmas Day, a Christmas Day game here and a Christmas Day game there, and then just a regular game that happens to be on Christmas Day. Mm-hmm. These are all Christmas Day games. They're specialty Christmas Day games. You do that for the NHL. You have let's say, I don't know, pick some crazy matchups, Toronto and Montreal, Boston and Chicago, because Chicago has to have an outdoor game. I don't know. Just pick a group like of 3 or 4 outdoor games every year, and you do it that way.
You can even just do a weekend. Remember when they went to Lake Tahoe, it was they did Philly, Boston the first day, and then Colorado, Vegas the next one.
Yeah.
You just do that. Just make a spectacle of it. Something they just refuse to do.
I think we should start a petition that we should be the creative geniuses behind the NHL. I think we've done a really good job.
We should pick the matchups too.
Exactly.
So I actually saw something on Twitter from Twitter user World Hockey RPT. And it was the thing of, we need a real Canada Cup with provinces. So it's like Team Saskatchewan. You have Everly, Shen, all that type of stuff. Team BC, Connor Bedard, Carey Price, all those kind of guys, right? And do something like that. That'd be really cool. Like anything. I want anything NHL.
Do they do it in curling? Sorry, I know they do.
Yes,
They do that in curling.
Yes, they do. That won't happen on them because that's too creative. I think
it's just too fun.
You've taken the board, you've crossed the line way too far. It's just enough for the NHL.
They're scared the Quebec team might announce that they're going to be competing the next Olympics.
Oh, Daniel. Don't upset the Quebecers right now, please. The people are going to protest the curfew again.
They've had enough. Man,
I'll tell you, listen, I get it. I get the things of the curfew, I get it, but it's not. There are better things to complain about. Like, I get it feels like an ego thing for Legault, but listen, I'm just saying, like, it's first off, it's 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. That's not a real curfew. Like, I don't go out to bars and that after 10 p.m. My life's good. Get some sleep. You know what I mean?
Well, if you're in Ontario, you can't go to a bar past 10 p.m. because you'd stay there for an hour and leave.
Yeah.
Here's the thing too. It's like, and again, no, I'm not, the lockdown is still kind of dumb, but don't protest, because like, if you're going out in large numbers, the virus is still there. It's not as deadly, but it's still spreading like wildfire. So what are you thinking? You're going to slow down? I don't get it. I don't get the curfew itself anyway. Like, I get it. It affected people, but it's just, the whole thing just seems to be one giant mess. Like when you're making pancakes and like you put the mixer too high of the thing, like too high of speed, and it goes everywhere. And it's just, I want to be mad at so many different people right now.
Adam, I have a question. I've never gotten this perspective before, but
okay.
As someone who is a season ticket holder, how has like the last few seasons been? Like, how does it work? Where it's like, do they just refund you the tickets, or like, what do they do?
So there were a few different options going into, it was this season or even last, it would have been just this season. A few options, including like it would go credit, like games you missed. So when like after the 2014, like the original COVID shortened season, those last few home games, there weren't a lot, but they instead were credited to season tickets. Obviously, there were no fans last year, but they were then credited to you for this season. There were a few other options in that, but the one I remember, because it's what I did, was it was then instead credited to this season. And like, it's different this year. Like, there's monthly payments and that. For example, we don't know when games are, but they, for example, took the monthly payment on January 1st from my bank account. I just want to know what's going on. But yeah, there were different options in that. And I think they weren't never going to fight about what other options you took, because I think you got to remember this was right off the Mayu stuff. So I think a lot of people were kind of like, we need good PR right now. But yeah, there were different options in that. They didn't screw anyone or anything. It was just different options. I want to say I can't remember the options. I don't want to guess because being a bit negligent of me, but they took care of it. They took care of it pretty well. Okay. Something that Alex sent here that I want to just mention before we go into anything, like joking about Team Russia getting kicked off a plane because they were trying to smoke cigarettes or something. Rick Westhead. So there were reports coming out that stuff with John Doe 2, sorry. Obviously the lawsuit against the Blackhawks, Brad Aldrich stuff, that it had been thrown out of case, or the judge had threw it out. I didn't think of anything of it because Rick Westhead hadn't confirmed anything, and he has This would have been last. Oh my goodness, what am I even talking about? This was on the 27th. How did I miss this? Okay, and he was confirming that John Doe 2's lawyers had withdrawn. His lawsuit versus the Blackhawks, indicating a settlement has been reached. Presumably, Chicago, which pledged to be a beacon for professionalism when settling Kyle Beach's case, demanded a non-disclosure agreement covering both John Doe 2 and his lawyer. I just realized that would have happened after our last show, didn't it?
Yeah.
So much has happened since then, eh? So again, it's good to see. Again, same thing we said with Kyle Beats. That stuff is always going to be with that kid and the family. But I would hope that part of that settlement also includes the Blackhawks doing what the league refused to do and covering therapy with the family and John Doe 2 himself.
Yeah, and I hope that's the case too. Along with, Rick Westhead did put in that tweet that Chicago pledged to be a beacon for professionalism when they settled the Kyle Beach case. I don't think he put that in there by accident. And I said it when they settled with Kyle Beach too. We have to make sure that they follow through with this. Like, they said it. Now, are they actually going to do it, or are they just going to keep doing the same old thing that they've been doing? I think it's important that, I guess, like the three of us as a podcast can only do so much, but there's people out there with not necessarily influence, but with the contacts to find out, and it's up to all of us as a collective to make sure they follow through with that, not just the three of us and SDPN and whoever else is talking about it.
I agree. Like, you just have to keep the conversation going. And I like that part you mentioned, Alex, with Rick Westhead saying that, because it's so subtle, but at the same time, it puts so much pressure on the Blackhawks to really kind of live up to it, because we saw what was going to happen. We saw what the NHL's response was. And I'm just relieved. It's a weird way to say, like, I'm happy about this, but I'm relieved to see that they just didn't leave it there, that a lot of the other parties involved said, like, we're not going to settle for this. We're going to keep pushing forward and see what, true justice is in this matter.
Moving on, again, sharp turn as always, but one that we have to do. It is bad news, but there is a bit of a chuckle in here. The World Juniors. Last episode was so much about the World Juniors, and within a few hours, it was completely out of date. It was hilarious to listen to.
Yeah.
So it had to do with more than just 2 cases of COVID. There were cases, I think it was around 5 teams. It looked like some officials had COVID too. There is a bit of negligence, it seems to be. I think it was Finland's coach, as well as I want to say Slovakia's goalie, have been very vocal about the negligence of the IIHF here, including the fact that apparently they were in a publicly open hotel and there was a wedding party, which is not great to hear. And this is also, I don't want to just, obviously the IIHF have been very sort of making sure people know that it's also on organizers, for example. So this is like Hockey Canada have a big part in organizing this too, but I do not want to see the IIHF try and pull off the blame here, because I want to say not Renee Fassel. What am I talking about? Luke Tardif said the juniors are their 3rd highest money-making tournament of the year, right? How in the world they did not have a sort of private, or even like a not a full bubble, if you didn't want to do that, but like some sort of measures in place? I can't believe it. Knowing that it was an open hotel in Alberta and the tournament feels destined to fail at that point.
Sorry, no, go ahead, Dan.
So last year when I was working for On the Record News, I did 2 pieces on the World Juniors, and I spoke to Lucas Weiss and Ben Steiner on this. And it's crazy. Like, when we were having this conversation last year, and the World Juniors was really the only hockey that was going on at the time before the NHL restarted again, we were praising WIHF for all the measures they were doing, that there was a bubble, that a lot of the athletes, they were given like the amenities they needed in their rooms. Like they were giving weights and exercise bikes in their rooms, making sure everybody's safe, everyone's tested. And then we move forward to this year, and it's like, what happened to all of that? It's the same cities.
I feel like a lot of stuff that I could say, I really said last episode. Like, it's just in terms of like, why didn't you come to this planned, essentially? Like, Adam, you said it about the wedding. Like, how do you have a wedding at the same hotel? How do you not say, hey guys, you know what? Here's some money for the rest of the rooms. Let's not have anybody else in this hotel. Like, it just kind of seemed like you guys said, destined to fail. They did not set up, compared to last year, they didn't set up this tournament to succeed. Like, they were kind of asking for it.
Did it sound so hockey though, in a way that like,
yes,
we didn't have our own hotel. We actually still had a wedding with a bunch of players there as well.
Yeah, you don't blame the hotel because they're trying to get as much money as possible because COVID's hit them. You don't blame the wedding people because how many weddings do you think got postponed over COVID? Like, they're trying to get married, happiest day of their lives and that. It's just, I think the word that the Finnish coach used was it wasn't even the COVID problem. It was an organizational problem.
Mm-hmm.
I also find it very funny how USA Hockey and Hockey Canada, they're very vocal about the cancellation of the women's tournament, rightfully so. They haven't been very vocal about the COVID issue, have they? Maybe because Canada would feel responsible, but I find it interesting that some of the other countries have, but the big ones quite haven't been here. Now, here's a part of this, a little wrinkle of this story it's kind of like, of course, this is hilarious almost. So not for maybe the people on this plane. How did that dog bark sound, by the way?
Did
you hear it?
It was pretty muted.
Okay, good.
Like,
okay,
I can still hear it, but it's not as like was that the Rottweiler?
It was the Rottweiler, yes.
Okay, like usually Rottweiler's like not overbearing, but like it's sometimes I find like it's part of the conversation, the dog.
Yes.
Where you say it's usually when you say something at him and then you could hear it.
Yes.
Like saying I agree, Adam.
Exactly. So with that, so CTV News in Calgary confirmed that the Russian World Junior team was kicked off of a flight on Friday. People saying that apparently we're not wearing masks. They were trying to smoke cigarettes like this is the 60s or whatever. And they were not being great to the attendants and not listening to them. Obviously, people on that flight, I'm sure, weren't happy. And what's really sucks about this, and the Czechs were comped for this, but apparently it was described as young men like wearing Nike sweatshirts. So it was very similar to Czechia, and they also got thrown off the plane. Like, come on, like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? That's just a common sense thing.
I have a funny story about this.
Yeah.
So I believe it was Gord Miller who mentioned this, but because Dave Cameron was the coach, right?
Yeah.
This happened to him in 2011 as well when he was the coach of the World Juniors. So this is when Canada was winning 3-0 in the gold medal game, and then they ended up losing 5-3 in the third period. And that happened again. Like that also happened with like the Russians with the smoking and like being kicked off. And then like, isn't it funny that it happens exactly the same time Dave Cameron's the coach again?
That is good poetry there. That is very good poetry. Sort of like Ovechkin scoring goals because it's just beautiful stuff. Not my best transition of the show. 2 goals the other day. He plays at 3:00 today, people. So it'll be done by the time you listen to this, but whatever. 754 goals. He now has 4th all-time. Most power play goals, I think, because apparently there may be a concern on the time of how much power play time was left. As of right now, I'm pretty sure he has the record for most power play goals. He passed Andrew Chuck, but just simmer down, people, because apparently the NHL's media site said maybe not. 12 away from Yager, 47 from Howe, and here's the big one, 140 away from Wayne. He's getting there. It's so freaking cool to see. I love it.
And he's staying,
so much.
okay, like, fingers crossed, he's staying healthy.
I'm knocking on my wood desk. How dare you? Don't put it out there, Daniel. He's so good. I was talking with Mike about this. Obviously, you can't mention Crosby without Ovechkin. You can't mention Ovechkin without Crosby.
Yeah.
Obviously the big thing is now with the Olympics not happening this year, the chances of Alexander Ovechkin getting a gold medal is probably not going to happen. So Crosby has the more cups, obviously. Ovi has, I think, more MVPs because Sid only has like 2 Hart trophies, and you're like, what? How? If he gets the goal record, that keeps him with Sid, right? Whenever they retire, like both of them. By the way, hold off, put them in at the same time. But that's it, right? You together, if he can beat the goal record, I think that legacy-wise, you can keep him up there with Sid.
Even if, unless he completely drops off, like I can't imagine, even if he doesn't break the goal record, I still think they're pretty close. Like for me personally.
Yeah, for me right now, I still put them both up there.
Really? But Sid, 3 cups, 2 Conn Smythes, a gold medal winning goal. Ovechkin, he's got the scoring tie, but I just don't think that. I think Ovechkin needs something else. Like Sid's always going to be the better, but Sidney Crosby is arguably the best player to ever play the game of hockey. Mm-hmm. But I really think Ovechkin needs something else, and I think the goal record is what he needs to be at least legacy wise with Sid. I think he needs something else.
It's kind of crazy when we talk about the gold medals.
What?
Both from the Olympics and in the World Juniors, Ovechkin's lost to Crosby in both of those.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
And when he won his cup is when he got past Sid.
Yeah.
Again, they're linked forever.
They'll always be linked. I think the thing for me is obviously Crosby is a generational player. So, and Ovechkin, even if he doesn't break the goal record, to me is a generational goal scorer. If not the best,
I think
even if he doesn't break that record.
If he beats the goal record, I put him on the Mount Rushmore of hockey. I would, because it's just something completely doing it in 2020s and that.
Yeah.
And I like a record that has stood since, I don't know exactly when Wayne would have done it, probably late 90s, probably.
I'll say probably, because 1999, he only, his last year, he only had like 6 goals. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I just think it's because it's the gold medal. He beat Ovi. Obviously he not in 2010. He wasn't the gold medal game, but in Sochi, obviously that was in Russia. That was pretty big for them to win. And again, it was Ovi's playoff thing that haunted him forever. It wasn't just the second round, and we forget about some of those series versus the Rangers. But it was always Sid in his way.
Can't forget the 2005 World Juniors as well. The gold medal.
I didn't know that actually.
Yeah. So for that game, I'll just talk about it briefly. But for that game, everyone was like, okay, so this is the best Canada team ever. Yeah. But at the same time, Russia has Evgeny Malkin and Alexander Ovechkin.
Fair enough. Okay. Where else can we go here? I say we go back to the Canucks, who are not 8 and 9. What am I talking about? They have won 8 of their 9 games under Bruce Boudreau. No regulation losses are in there. That's pretty fun. A fun game in Seattle last night for another win. So looking at this, all of a sudden, the Canucks are in a very fun position here. AKA, if you look at it, in the grand scheme of the standings, they're still second last in the Pacific, which you're kind of like, oh, okay, that's not great. They haven't, they've won all these games, and for some reason they're still not up there. But if you look at the wild card race, right now, second wild card is LA. They're at 37 points. Vancouver at 35. Now, LA have a game in hand, and Colorado's in there, and obviously they've only played 27 games. But Vancouver, all of a sudden, are in striking distance.
Yeah. No, they are. And one thing I wanted to point out about the Canucks, and I think when we looked at the Canucks, it was a lot about their offense recently and when Boudreau came. But I think you look at their defense too has improved. Look at the amount of goals they have allowed in the last few games. So 2 against Seattle, 2 against LA, which they lost, or technically 1 against LA because they lost in shootout. 1 against Anaheim.
Technical win. They lost.
No. I mean, they only technically allowed 1 goal in time. Yeah. They lost the game. Yeah. 2 against San Jose, 3 against Columbus, 1 against Carolina, 3 against Winnipeg, 1 against Boston.
Not bad.
0 against LA again. Like they're not necessarily allowing so many goals anymore where they can't keep up offensively.
Which is crazy when you look back on 3 weeks ago when we're like, what are they doing? What's going on with this team? How's everything going to go? And now, along with the story you've mentioned earlier in the episode, Adam, it's weird to me. It's not just the management, but it's just the light around this team. It's just like the atmosphere around this team that, for me, I want to know now is, they're 8-0-1. Does this help the JT Miller, Bo Horvat factionalism?
I mean, winning solves a lot of problems, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Listen, hockey is subject to a lot of magic right now, or just it always kind of has been. Listen, I like watching the Canucks play. I have, for example, I've watched Vancouver probably not as much as Montreal, obviously, but they're the team I've watched second most this year for some reason. Listen, they can score. They have a great goalie, and we know Bruce Boudreau, when his time in Minnesota, knows how to put together a defensive scheme. It's just he needed goaltenders who could stop the puck. And Thatcher Demko is really good at stopping the puck. And Yaroslav Halak is pretty good at stopping the puck, especially in a backup role. So, yeah, I think that's I think it's fun. I'm happy for the Canucks.
Is the sun shining again?
Yep.
Isn't it?
Like when they look at – I was going to say a funny joke, but I don't know if it's going to land anymore.
Go ahead.
When they look at okay, go on.
Okay, isn't it ironic that we're in this situation? They have 8 wins in 9 games, and I believe it was Francesco Aquilini who said, we just need to win 1 game, and then we need just a slew of good games, and then we'll get going.
And there you go.
There you go.
So has the light also been shining on Francesco Aquilini as well now that we're like, kind of a good guy?
I mean, he let Jim Benning do that job for how long? I think we need to calm down.
Not yet.
I don't want to spoil the segment, but I do want to have a look at how many of these wins are, overtime shootout. Mm-hmm. I think we do need to, once they cool down, I think there is sort of a look to here, but, just for now, they're on the up. Unlike another Canadian team, the Oilers at one time were first in the Pacific. They're now in the first wild card spot. So I'll just read you guys something of their record by month. So in October, they were 6-1. November were 9-4. November, they were 3-9. And then they're 0-1 to start January. Now, I've included overtime and shootout losses in losses because you should. And I think it's 2 overtime losses, but this league is dumb. Nick Smith came back for a game and is hurt again. That's not great. And now people are starting to call for Tippett's job.
Yeah, that's that. I mean, I don't know if Dave Tippett should necessarily be fired. Mm-hmm. Now I've seen a lot of people talk about Mike Babcock. We could get into that when and if that happens. I'll have some choice words about that hire. I just think, I went to look at their hockey reference page earlier just to get a sense of what the team scoring is. So obviously McDavid 53, Leon has 52 points. Could you tell me who the next closest player is?
Jesse Puljujarvi? 42 points.
It can't be that much.
No.
I would assume maybe optimistic. It's Darnell?
No.
Really? Barry?
Oh, yeah.
Or Nugent Hopkins?
It's
And
Nugent Hopkins. But
Okay, yeah.
let me guess, 4 goals.
3 goals, but close.
Oh my gosh.
But how many points does he have?
27.
39.
Daniel was one off. He has 26 points.
Oh, wow.
Can you see how many of them are power play points?
Yeah. He has
This is where it's gonna be.
14 power play points. And they're all assists.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
So to me, that's concerning, right? Like
Yeah.
McDavid has double the amount of points. Leon pretty much has double the amount of points that the next closest guy has, which you'd expect, but it's a little concerning, isn't it?
So what? Yeah, what's the move? How do you fix it though? Like I wonder, does Tyler Toffoli make a lot of sense?
I don't
Either
know
way,
if offense is their issue.
What they can't score 5-on-5 though.
I know.
They need depth.
Bet Sherratt and Tyler Toffoli in a package.
No. I mean, no. Like, really, is it? I don't think their goaltending hasn't been Seattle bad. AKA,
No.
what the hell is up with Grubauer and Draker? By the way, we got to talk about Seattle one day.
Yes.
Oh boy. But I just think maybe there's just more than one problem. And Holland has just sort of built an incomplete team here that is just when McDavid and Draisaitl aren't murdering everyone.
We kind of saw that, though, because we look at the forwards where they are quality forwards, but you were kind of just betting on them to kind of have those breakout years like Jesse Puljujarvi or Kyler Yamamoto. And with their defense, we already knew it was pretty spotty. It's just, we're just kind of hoping it just
I'm going to push back Daniel there because it's nothing to do with Yamamoto and Puljujarvi. It's oh, hey there, our bottom 6 of like insert name here of Turris, who hasn't been anything since he got to Nashville. Derek Ryan, who hasn't been anything for years now. Who like Devin Shore is still in the league. Ryan McLeod's a young guy, but still. Sevier is whatever. Brandon Perlini's just been like a drifter since Arizona days. And what the heck is Tyler Benson, another young guy who's kind of unproven. And then their defense is just sort of a jumbling mess that's kind of funny to look at and is a bit of a meme. And even the guys who are hurt right now, like you look at Russell. I mean, I don't think Chris Russell is going to help with your scoring either. And he's just sort of what they already have. Archibald was never an offensive contributor. And is Clefbaum a big part of that? Yes, but Clefbaum has been out for years. Like Clefbaum is almost like, okay, what are we dealing with here? And I'm looking also in case there is anyone on like COVID. I see that Cassian is there, but that's Zach Cassian.
He's a first line forward.
No, he's not. He gets paid like someone who could fit into a top 6 role, but
I think Adam, you nailed it though. You nailed it with it's not one problem. It's 3 separate issues. And they don't have depth. Their defense is shaky. And if you go look at it, their goaltending has regressed extremely. So it's a matter of, is this just, a bad slump? Because I look at the Leafs and I say the Leafs and Edmonton are similar in certain ways, or they've been compared. The Leafs went through a slump early in the season, bounced back from it. They could go through another slump. Who knows? With Edmonton, they started hot and then went through a slump. Is this just a slump, or is this a combination of these guys are exhausted and Holland didn't build a complete team like you said, Adam? I don't know which one it is.
Here's the situation. You kind of look at what Edmonton's in. Even if they win both the games they have in hand on Anaheim, they're tied at 41 points. The Flames right now have 3 games in hand, and they're tied on points. Vegas is somehow at the top of the division, and Pacioretty's gone for a while now, and Eichel hasn't even played the game. So you're going to look at Edmonton, and they're going to get into this all of a sudden dogfight with probably Minnesota, because I could see Colorado's probably going to storm up, or even in Nashville if they regress a little bit who have who like all of a sudden Johansson and Duchesne are playing really well, and Yossi and Forsberg's lighting it up. They're going to get into a dogfight with them. They're going to get a dogfight with Vancouver, who are getting better and better. You're going to get into a dogfight with LA, who, those older players there, the moment they sniff playoffs and they turn that gear up, they're going to be in a dogfight with it. And depending on the month, Jonathan Quick may turn into George Vezina. We never know. It's not a great position to be in.
And the question has to be asked because, look at what happened when they made the playoffs last year, right? And got swept in 4 games. Can they handle the dogfight? As a team, can that team handle the dogfight? I mean that respectfully because we have the same conversations in Toronto. Can the team handle the dogfight? I don't know.
And before Edmonton gets upset, they would if the game was called properly. But the way it is, no. You know what? Another team I've forgotten that they're below Vancouver, but 4 games in hand. Hi, Winnipeg, who are also there and have an elite goalie. So, and don't have Blake Wheeler. And I know I criticize him a lot, but, he'll be on a mission when he gets back. And Blake Wheeler's not a player I'd like to play against when he's angry.
What was their record? Because I didn't look at it after Paul Maurice left.
I don't know that. I can quickly, because don't forget, I don't know how many games they've even played. So I think Lowry won his first game as coach, but yeah, it's just something. Just why Alex is bringing that up. I saw something in the standings and it just kind of caught my eye when I was looking at it. So Boston, first off, they have 5 games in hand over Detroit and they're only a point behind them. But I just kind of looked for a second and I realized, and they have a positive goal differential where Detroit don't. But I just sort of looked at Detroit and Boston for a second. I kind of thought, they're in the same state at this very second, but aren't they going opposite ways? Boston on the way down, especially Bergeron's gone this year, and Detroit just on the up and up. That was just a passing thought I had just very quickly, looking at the standings and whatnot.
What was expected, right, with a Stevie Y type of team where he knows how to nurture the young guys who are being put up there.
Yeah, but I didn't think Boston were going to fall like this. And again, they got games, but, Tuukka Rask will show up and they're, win the President's Trophy in the Cup probably, but great team will come back.
So who goes on the taxi squad? Like Jeremy Swayman?
No, Swayman's like basically number 1.
So Linus Allmark, like at $5 million?
No, he'd be. Oh, you mean once it starts?
Yeah.
Good question. Yeah, that's a very good question. Do you have it, Alex?
Yeah, they've only played 2 games under Dave Lowry. He is 1-1.
Very good. Very good. We have
solid 1-1.
The scores.
Yeah,
they play?
Washington, he lost 5-2, which was his first game.
Okay.
And then against St. Louis, they won 4-2.
All right, good. Very good. Okay, freaking nice enough. Anyway, but yeah, that's a good question, Jason. Who hits the taxi squad? That's a funny one. Before we go to Montreal and Toronto, did you guys see who it looks like are the top selling jerseys of 2021?
Briefly.
Don't. Okay, Daniel, have you seen it?
Was it Sebastian Cossa for the World Juniors?
No, because he's bad.
Oh,
anyway,
he's good.
I'll tell you guys. Number 10, Patrick Kane, makes a lot of sense. Patrick Kane, Chicago,
Still?
a lot of money. Yeah, you'd think there's another Blackhawk up here who's very high. Remember, for years, the Blackhawks have always been really high. But yeah, I know what you mean. After everything this year, I guess their sales are still good. But you got to remember, a decade ago, they were number 1 and 2. So it's taken a hit, but it's a good market. And it's Patrick Kane, right? Taves hasn't had the Taves season, but Kane is still Patrick Kane. Number 9, David Pastrnak. Makes sense. It's weird that he's the highest Bruin. Oh, no, there's another Bruin. I'm done. But yeah, love Pat. McKinnon's number 8. Number 7, Carey Price. Makes a lot of sense. Number 6, Patrice Bergeron. Number 5 is Connor McDavid. Number 4 is Austin Matthews. Number 3 is Marc-Andre Fleury in Chicago, which is hilarious.
Yeah, I guess there's a lot of Marc-Andre Fleury fans out there.
Apparently. I'd love to know what his numbers are if Sidney Crosby was not a member of the Pittsburgh Penguins. Obviously, Sidney Crosby, by the way, is number 2 because Sidney Crosby. So did you guys see there was this thing? Ovechkin number 1, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were going to make us guess.
No, Ovechkin. So did you see that graphic? It was like the most popular players right now based on state and province. So it was like in Quebec, Carey Price, obviously. Prince Edward Island, Carey Price, because I guess he's big in PEI. And there's like McDavid in that. But there were a bunch of states in the US.
Yes.
And it was like mostly Gretzky. And you're like, oh, that's not good that he's still, maybe it was just like a search data thing. And I'm sure people recently have been looking up Gretzky to look at his goals and that, but it was like all California, which makes sense because he revolutionized hockey there, or certainly really grew the game there. But I was just looking and I'm like, that's not very good.
So I didn't notice that, but there was one I noticed, but I'll bring it up after.
Oh, what is it? I didn't have
Hawaii. Did anyone see Hawaii?
Yeah.
No, what was Hawaii?
Chris Letang.
In Hawaii. Yeah.
Is Chris Letang part Hawaiian?
I'm not
I know
sure.
He's French, but
I don't think so.
That's very strange.
But it was just so funny because it kind of came out of nowhere. It was like Chris Letang.
Why is Chris Letang the most popular hockey player with Hawaii?
It's like the third most popular player on his team.
Did they just send was there like a DVD in Hawaii and it was just like, here's a very strange one. That's a very, very strange one to see.
Guys, I have breaking news.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how monumental is it?
4.
Okay, go ahead.
Congrats, Trevor Zegras, who has been named the NHL's Rookie of the Month for December. He has 11 points in 9 games, 2 goals, 9 assists.
As he should. So some more, it's not as breaking. It came out about 10 minutes ago. Pierre LeBrun says that the Habs have officially begun to reach out to teams asking permission to speak to GM candidates. They've done so with the likes of Roberto Luongo, Danny Briere, and Matthew Darche, amongst others. Obviously, a ways to go in the process, but it started. And on that note,
where's Patrick Waugh?
Well, Daniel, stop. Well, I don't think they have to ask the Ramparts permission because he literally owns them.
Oh, that's true.
And now Renaud Lavoie did have an article talking about who are some of the candidates to do with Montreal and the GM job. As I quickly just get it up because there's a specific thread that I saved on Twitter because I wanted to read a part of it, not from my OV goal counter account. I just saw the Zegras news on there, Daniel. Very, very good. Very, very good. Like to see Matthew Darche, by the way. Like to see that. Or maybe some other candidates because it's very interesting, this list. They said originally it was around 8 or 10 people. We can obviously see now Luongo wasn't originally on that one list, but I obviously believe Pierre LeBrun because he's Pierre LeBrun. Okay, so here was originally from Renaud Lavoie's list. Danny Briere, which I feel like the English side of Habs media has been talking a lot about. Emily Castonguay, Matthew Darche, Marc Denis, one of the voices of Habs games, the play-by-play guy with Pierre Oud, Marc Denis.
World Junior legend and Columbus Blue Jacket legend.
Former Habs goalie, Marc Denis. I was so shocked to see that one. Like he's one of the best color commentators out there. I love Marc Denis, but it was just really weird to see Marc Denis on the list. Kent Hughes, as we know, Stefan Quintel, former Hab, please know. Danielle Sevengo, I want to talk about her lately because I want her as GM. And Patrick Waugh.
There it is.
I feel like they're doing Patrick just to say, okay, the media, here we go. Like during the intermission of the Carolina game, they were talking about the list, and who was the picture, the first one they talked about? It was Patrick, but Jeff Gordon's not doing it. Okay. So candidates that you guys see there, you like, anyone that surprised you first off?
Marc Denis was a bit of a surprise. Obviously, I don't know. I went to look. It doesn't seem like he's in the circle of management, but again, trying something new is fine. Kent Hughes is still a little bit of a surprise to me. Like we had that discussion with Patrick when he was on about having an agent as a general manager, because there's more than just the contract side of the position. But again, it depends on what Gordon sees the general manager's role as. I don't know. It would be a lot of learning on the job, essentially.
For me, I'm surprised that And I know that throughout his career, there's been the rumors as well. And he eventually did play for the Habs, but it was so brief later in the career. But like Danny Briere and like his connection to it, I know from being from Quebec, but also like Marc Denis, where these two guys were, I know they both played in the Q, but they would go on to play for other teams for the prime of their careers, and then for them to come back now, I know that
played like 6 games as a
yeah, like it would serve them well, like in terms of like the French English balance of things. Or these two guys are like, hey, I know these guys from the 90s and early 2000s, but I think for me, I think Danny Briere is getting there, but I'd like to see a bit more on his resume before he takes on a job like this.
AGM type thing, yeah, like NHL AGM
for now, like, or even like be the GM of like the Laval Rocket first,
or it's just he's GM but he's really not GM.
It's like a George Bush,
aka Jeff Gordon's the GM, and like and then they just have Briere in charge of the AHL. I got mixed up. So the one I'm interested is specifically Emily Castonguay. Okay, so this specific thread that I have for very specific reasons is from at NHL Draft Ranking. And this is sort of the qualifications that she specifically has here. Adam Castonguay. So has hockey experience, played 4 years in the NCAA, bachelor's degree in finance, a law degree. She's a member of the Quebec Bar, and she is a certified agent. I believe she represents Alexis Lafreniere.
Yeah.
Press perspective. Big into the women's game. I think she's pretty tight with like a Marie-Philippe Poulin too. The other person, my second candidate, I haven't shut up about Mathieu Darche. I love Mathieu Darche. I think he'd be really, really sick. Some of his qualifications here. Bachelor degree in commerce and all that kind of stuff. 13 years, former Habs, so we'll get that side of it. CBA negotiation committee, apparently, which is pretty sick. He was an analyst for a couple of years. He's got some other stuff, like business stuff in there. And obviously the director of hockey ops for Tampa Bay. Those are my two. I think they'd be really, really cool to have. I really hope. I think like people have talked about, it's pretty clear that Darche will be allowed to interview. Let's just see if he's sort of interested in there. Some of the other ones, Luongo's pretty funny to see. I'm interested to see where that goes. Beside that, it's just the other lists are like Marc Denis. What is that?
I'm not entirely sure. The interesting part of that list, though, for me is that not only because, and I don't want to say lack of experience because I don't think that's fair. I think lack of NHL management experience would be a way to put it, other than the few that are currently in there. I think this list could not only be just for general manager, but bringing in assistant general managers, whether you want to give Emily Castonguay a job as a general manager of an NHL team or as an assistant general manager of the team, to put her in a position to be the general manager in the future is something to think about. I think this list is bigger than just for that one position.
Even like Danny Briere, like bring him in, like, how do you bring Marc Denis in and make him a skills coach or something? Make him head scout for all I care.
They give the goalie coach.
I'd say, do you know what? No, they got that already. I actually don't want Denis to get hired because then he can't do Habs games anymore. Like, would really
I can't do both. See, we always bring up semi-pro as an example. Why can't he do both?
Because it's semi-pro.
It's funny, on the broadcast the other day, he ripped Ducharme apart.
So he will not be taking part. He will not be general manager.
It's gonna be that, or he's firing him the first chance they get. That's exciting though. That's really, really exciting. Oh goodness. So the Habs are also, we know they're shut down until January 6th. They don't play again until like the 12th. Because the league want money, obviously. They got spanked by the Panthers because they had 11 forwards and 5 defensemen. I want to get this up for you guys. So one of my favorite things, like you guys as well, is looking at cap friendly. Okay. So I just want to quickly just bring this up. Okay. So let me just screen share, go to this. Okay. So can you see it?
Yes.
Okay. So here we go. Here's Montreal. Look at all those picks in Montreal. I can't wait. Okay. So let's just have a quick look at their roster, shall we? Gallagher, Drouin, Cedric Paquette, who looks like has a concussion, get well soon. Jesse Ulonen, who started in the AHL. He's probably going to make the NHL roster. He was late getting vaccinated. Caulfield, happy birthday. Happy birthday, Cole, you beautiful little guy. Suzuki, obviously. Cam Hillis, who was at one time in the ECHL. He'll be on the team maybe one day, but still. Raphael Harvey-Pinard started with the AHL. Lucas Vejdemo, AHL. Brandon Baddock, AHL, played one game and got put on protocol. Evans, who was in protocol. Pizzetta. Paling, should have made the team start in the AHL. Alex Belzile, AHL All-Star formerly. Savard, Kulak, Romanov's in protocol. Kale Clegg. Luis Belpedo. Pedio? I don't know. Hasn't played the game. Sami Niku. Corey Schoenman, AHL. Montembeault, third goalie, who was in the AHL last year. Michael McNiven, who they refused to play. AHL guy. Here's their other non-roster here. Petrie, Hoffman, Sherratt, Allen, Lehkonen, Primo, Weidman, Dauphin. Two of those AHL, by the way.
Those are COVID protocol?
Those are COVID. Then we get to the injuries. Anderson, Dvorak, Toffoli, Edmondson, Armia, Perreault. What the hell? What is this? Look at their oh wait, we're not even done yet. Oh my goodness. Byron and Weber are just gone. I don't know what is happening with Joel Edmondson. I have no idea what's going on with him. Gianni Fairbrother is like the only guy left. What's going on there? Carey Price still isn't around and probably has COVID because his wife has COVID and they live together. So obviously, Alsner, buyout history. How's it going? Look at their non-roster. Look at it.
Mishak,
who's on loan. Caden Gooley, who is on loan. Norlander, who is on loan. Archer Jake, I can't say his name. Ouellette, who I'm pretty sure it's hurt and that's not updated. The only guy they can call up is Jean-Sebastien D. Thank God they have this pause because they have no one. Have you ever seen a non-roster that small?
Yeah, in the off-season. Only in the off-season.
And we're in January.
Yeah,
we're nearly halfway through the season and they have 6 guys and they can only call up one of them. They're so boned.
It's interesting for me to see that the cases are going to keep going higher that for COVID and a lot more restrictions with things. The NBA introduced the hardship exemptions. And I know that it's been different because they could do 10-day contracts, but it'd be interesting if the NHL did something like that.
There's nothing stopping the NHL from doing a variation of a 10-day contract. In my opinion, like it'd be a lot of CBA. It'd be an absolute nightmare, I'd assume, with the CBA, and then we'd have to renegotiate, and then Brad Marchand would say something, and I mean, it would just be a nightmare. So there's really not that should be stopping the NHL from doing it.
Listen, we can only give you $50.
Yeah, Adam, you were muted. Sorry. It's okay.
Very embarrassed.
It's okay.
Okay. One last thing with Montreal.
Yeah.
I hate that we're talking about this because I don't think he should be a Hab. Logan Mailloux has officially been reinstated into the OHL. I think his original ban would have been lifted yesterday on January 1st. Here's some of the stuff that the OHL put in their statement. Quote, since the time of suspension, with the support of the London Knights, Logan Mailloux has participated in therapy and counseling with Dr. Lindsay Forbes and a personal development plan under the leadership of Wendy Glover. Mrs. Glover is a London-based, experienced, holistic athlete development practitioner, academic and personal development advisor, teacher, and member of the Ontario School Counselors Association. The player's personal development plan has included weekly meetings, ongoing completion of certifications, and reflection of concepts explored. Some of the certification and programs available to athletes that he has completed were, I'm not going to list them, but they just list some of the stuff he's done. It's not really important here. After reviewing the program, speaking with the player and Mrs. Glover, and receiving a commitment from the player to continue his personal development program, the league is satisfied that Logan Mailloux has undertaken the necessary steps and will reinstate him effective January 1st, 2022. The OHL remains committed to ongoing education of players. Now, listen, in a vacuum, it sounds like, oh my God, he's done this and this. That's so nice. Oh my goodness gracious. I would like to know how much of what he's done was not mandated to do. And also, I would like to know the point of view of the girl, the victim, that he took the pictures of and shared without her consent before we reinstate her.
That's dicey. Yeah.
I would not use a London-based person. I'm not questioning that person's legitimacy. I'm just saying it's a very important player for the London Knights.
Wait a minute. I thought this story was buried by the time when it was posted.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
can
they
we
released
talk
it
about that?
right in the middle of the World Junior. What is with leagues and teams being so gross when releasing Mayu stuff during like the busiest news cycles? What cowards!
I texted. I don't know if it was on Twitter or wherever. I texted you, and I go, the irony of the OHL and the London Knights to release this statement 45 minutes after the IIHF canceled the World Juniors is hilarious, because remember, if you guys don't remember, Jeff Molson released his statement about Logan Mailloux about half an hour into NHL free agency.
Howard.
You know what's weird for me? Because we've been on social media quite a bit. We post a lot of stuff there. We know the trends of things. Doing something like that, it's just going to put more attention on the post. Like more people are going to talk about it.
So I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. I think, and Adam, you confirm this for me. I think it was very much talked about in Montreal circles, right? Was it talked about on Montreal or Canadians Twitter?
Yeah.
I don't think this got the same attention from the rest of hockey, the same way it did when he got drafted.
It hasn't been the sort of the people that you would expect to sort of go on it. Like, I'd obviously Pierre LeBrun retweeted, but I don't think it's been mentioned in other very
the major news networks.
It hasn't been. Free agency was just it was so fresh when it happened, but this has been very, very quiet. Kind of like the John Doe 2 stuff has been very, very quiet. What's kind of gross too about this is they had a few days left in the year. I don't think it was too difficult to find one person a few days later, even if it was like New Year's Eve, to just like send a tweet or the statement. I don't think it would have been, or just wait. They do it at the end of the day too. Once everything's like the news of the juniors has sort of calmed down and people were, not freaking out that this, and going on about like, oh God, the hotels and the negligence and all that. It was just.
No, I think it was very strategic.
I worry that Jeff Molson will allow this guy to keep being in the organization to use as a sort of figure of, oh, well, look at us and look at what we've done and try to sort of rehab this person. I worry about that. If the kid ever shows that he's truly sorry about it, like he shows growth. And I want to know originally what he was supposed to do and how much of what he has done has been sort of guaranteed. There was something going around. I can't remember where it was. I just remembered it. That people were going around about him being this great teammate right now. That's all good. I get it. The teammates are probably his friends and that, but I need to know if he's been a good person. Forget teammate. Like I need to see how he personally, of course he's going to be good around his teammates. They're hockey players. They're all like that. They're all for the team, but it's outside the game at this point. It does not matter at all if he's like texting the boys after a win saying, oh, that's hard fought, boys. Go Knights. Like,
yeah.
Take a hike. So hockey.
You brought something up there about, about if he's truly changed. And I think, something that was brought up when he was drafted, and I want to say it was Adam Wild who brought this up on the SDP at the time. The Canadians took the chance from him of properly proving it without some type of
restitution.
Not restitution, but some type of like he did it on his own. Whereas this feels, like you said, Adam, in a way, kind of, he had to do it if he wants to be part of the Montreal Canadiens. Whereas if he didn't get drafted, like he asked teams not to draft him, it would have given Logan Mailloux the opportunity to do these things without the support of an NHL team behind him. Like, there's a difference when you look at it with 2020 perspective. There's a difference between those two things.
So want to know who the other teams that were going to take him in the second round were. I want to know what teams were that freaking stupid. Oh, Montreal, why'd you have to be the team to do it? Why'd you have to do that? So dumb. Leafs. Okay, I'm confused. I thought their capacity was 1,000, but I saw people talking about last night. Were fans at the game?
Yeah, there was 989 fans at the game last night.
Were they in the upper bowl then?
I guess so.
They just saw Carlton the Bear in one picture.
I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. Like, I don't know why they did it that way. Very confusing.
Ticket holder in the lower bowl. It's like, why does the Bear get to go down there?
Yeah, no.
Do flips.
He's gonna go back to put the photos of the season ticket holders.
Sorry, guys.
I just didn't understand it.
Was Carlton wearing a mask?
I didn't notice.
Bears get affected.
I wasn't looking at Carlton the Bear. Respect.
Yeah, what you were looking at instead was Matthews and Marner getting held off the score sheet in a 6-0 Leafs win over Ottawa. Yeah. I mean, what was cool is Ilya Mikheyev, if you didn't know, was back and scored the goal. Justin Hall too. The boy's getting a hard time. But I want to make this about Mitch Marner. No points again.
Can make this about Mitch Marner.
Was this his first game back or second?
First
game back. Yeah.
And he hasn't a point in how long? No power play goals? Gets the Seds?
He's like the first United Leafs team in quite a while, right?
Like,
and without Mitch Marner?
You're like the opposite of Darren Dreger.
What?
Darren Dreger's so pro Mitch Marner.
I can't.
You're so anti Mitch Marner.
Yeah, because I bet Darren Dreger gets a Christmas card from them every year.
Probably.
Yeah.
I'd imagine there's a couple guys that do.
I bet. I can't wait
we
to find
should.
out that his name is actually Mitchell Darren Marner. That's his godfather. Yeah. I can't wait for that to come out. I can't wait.
I'm sure we can find out. You want to know his middle name?
Sure.
Okay, 1 second.
You know, I've one thing I mentioned before with this is, and we mentioned it a lot, is, man, I feel bad for Matt Murray.
Yeah.
I just feel bad. I know he hasn't been good lately, but like he doesn't have a win this season.
Remember when Jimmy Howard had 2 wins in the whole year?
Yeah.
Didn't Buffalo call him and then he said, never? Yeah. Or was it Edmonton? No, it was Edmonton. It was Edmonton. I remember absolutely lighting them up for that. Sorry, Mitch Marner does not have a middle name.
Oh, he's being secret about it. But obviously, yeah, he's been hurt. I know why he hasn't done it. But
you know what?
Like Matt Murray, how long was he in the AHL for? Because I thought I heard someone say he only played 2 games.
Yeah, it was like a brief stint, and he wasn't very good in it either.
What do you do there? Like, that's not a super long-term contract, and by the time the Sens are going to be competitive, it won't be a problem, but it's just for Matt Murray's sake.
Yeah.
Like, why not just give him a year? Like, just say, go home, do what you need to do. We're here to support you, and just see what's up with him. Because for his sake, he needs to I don't know, maybe he's just not an NHL goalie anymore.
I was thinking about this as I was watching the game last night, not specifically about Matt Murray, but I guess about the Ottawa Senators. We're not talking about them the same way we were last year.
No. That's why you have to be careful when the team is hot towards the end. I remember a couple of years ago, it was like, oh my God, the Coyotes, what's the next year? Because, man, they were playing spoiler at the end of last year and they still finished like 4th last. And they're still bad. I think we all fell for that trap with Ottawa again.
Yeah.
Also, combining with the fact that their general manager said the rebuild's over.
Man,
and
Peter,
then had to walk that back.
You were doing so well. You were doing well, my man. And he backpedaled so hard. A quick note before we keep going, I wanted to mention NHL isolation rules and all that. Apparently now the Leafs, I think, as well, like Ontario has sort of shortened the isolation days from 10 to 5. Man, the Habs are so. I can't swear, but man, they are not in it. Can't wait for the Habs to have another awful.
It's not fun.
No,
it's not.
The Quebec government is just not doing well. But
all over the place.
it's almost kind of boring to talk about the Leafs this year after the first month because nothing's going wrong.
No, I mean, like, I guess
Matthew scored again.
exactly,
like 70 goals over the past year. Cool.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But I think in this game, the two good things, obviously, other than the win, is Mikheyev and Justin Hall. Because Mikheyev, when was the last time he scored 2 goals in the game? And Justin Hall necessarily hasn't had the greatest of seasons. If you've been listening to this podcast, so to see them have good nights was nice for me. Also, I can't believe the Leafs won 6-0 against Ottawa because for whatever reason, and I'm not giving them credit for this, I'm saying this is absolutely the bare minimum. They do not play well against Ottawa.
Yeah, I was surprised too.
We've talked about this before. It's the rivalry thing, right? It's like the Ducks and Kings were bad for a while, but you watch them because of the history in the Western Conference or like the early 2010s.
Yeah, but
it's a competition thing, right? You have to elevate your game versus certain teams, and
they don't have the game breaker and Evgeny Denidov anymore.
I don't think the Leafs showed up many times against the Ottawa Senators.
They just won with the motions, I think. Like this was just kind of like a routine game.
I mean, 6-0 is a bit more than routine, but that's a bit.
But you know what I'm talking about? Like, they knew what they were doing and they just kept going with it. But, it is nice to see that Mikheyev, Justin Hall, there's a bit of
it's a weight off their back.
It's a weight off their backs. It was what word? I was looking for the R word. Redemption.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know.
Sure. Not yet. We're getting not yet.
Justin Hall has to score a lot more goals to make up for the ones he's cost. Mikheyev, I think you can be happy for because he needs to produce for his contract.
Does he still want to get traded?
Probably.
We don't really know, but we'll find out. Like someone on that, I mean, maybe with the taxi squads, things change a little bit, but I do think someone on that forward core might be traded. I know a lot of people say Nick Ritchie, but I don't know. Like
he was a healthy scratch last night,
or Alex Kerfoot, but I really like Alex Kerfoot. I don't really see the need to
Alex bias.
Yes,
yeah. Because what's that thing about? It makes $3.5 million. Nothing pisses me off more when it's like, it makes $3.5 million. We can't use them. What? Shut up. That's what a good third line center makes is like 0.5. Shut up.
And he has a really good set role on that second line with Tavares and Nylander. By the way, Nylander also had 2 goals last night. So.
That breakaway was so smooth.
Oh, smooth. Love it. I love William Nylander.
He's a good player.
We all love William Nylander.
I love how that chatter has died down. Thank God. I can't do it anymore.
What that?
The trade William Nylander. I just can't do it.
For Mackenzie Weegar. Remember that?
Yes. No, not Mackenzie Weegar. It was for Mike Matheson. Do you remember that rumor that
I think it was like every other defenseman available was like Nylander though?
No, but do you remember when I think it was someone from Florida had leaked it that they were not even trade Mike Matheson for William Nylander?
Oh yeah, that was
like, oh my God. Was it to prove a point?
What was the other one? It was Nylander for Colton Parayko?
That was a rumor, but I think I remember there was a deal on the table. I think it was Nylander plus and a deal involving Alex Pietrangelo. When St. Louis was bad. That season.
What was?
I don't remember.
Yeah, give me Mitch. Fucking Nylander. That's him because Nylander's better, so that would work. I'm not getting off that train, by the way.
Okay. No, that's fair.
Nylander is good, though.
He is good.
He's good. I think he's like point per game. He's got like 33 points or something.
I believe so.
No Ovechkin, but who is? Okay. I think that's everything, unless you guys have something that you're like, hey.
I don't. I know.
Oh, I got a new jersey for Christmas, but I will show that on the next episode because it's not out of the box yet.
What jersey is it?
I don't know. It's from my family, so I will show you it.
Fair.
Yeah.
Oh, so you don't even know?
Yeah.
Oh,
I just know for sure it's not non-goalie.
interesting.
Yes.
Okay. Do you know what team?
We'll show it on the next episode.
Well, no. I'm just interested if we could just like all make predictions.
Do you know what team it is?
It's the Leafs. It's my first Leafs jersey since my Andrew Raycroft.
Nick Ritchie.
We'll see. Next episode.
Okay, I'm going to take a guess. It's going to be Austin Matthews.
Okay.
No, Morgan Riley. I'm changing it. I'm locking it in.
Okay.
Morgan Riley.
You can't do that.
I don't care.
Okay, so Nick Ritchie and Morgan Riley.
Question on the Habs questions and no one else.
What?
It's like making a trick question for a Habs one, but nothing else.
A quiz will reemerge soon, I believe.
Yeah, well, as far as I'm concerned, Oh my. Okay. I remember asking Daniel, like, you're not going to be too specific here. He's like, no. And then it's like, so who are the two thing trickers? How could you? Anyway. That's it. Thank you, The Voice Set. As always, being a great platform for the show. Check us out on social media, YouTube channel for me, Daniel, CGRU, Alex's blog. Our Twitters, our Instagrams, the show's TikTok, which is always fun. YouTube channel for the visual experience of the show. That's everything. Stay frosty.
And Happy New Year, guys.
Happy New Year. Don't say it after like the 3rd though, because then it's just you're awful. It's like,
wait, so when do we stop saying it like
since last year? It's like, get out of here.
Wait, did we keep saying Happy New Year until like what? It's still relatively new up until the midway point of the year, right?
So I think tomorrow's the latest because tomorrow everyone's going back to work. Monday.
Mm-hmm. I'm going back Tuesday.
Okay. Whenever your first day of work is, that's I think the cutoff.
Okay.
Because when you're writing a date, it's 2022.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I gotta remember that too.
Okay, that's it.